Jack O'Neill hated it when the gate sounded wrong. It was a tiny thing, a faint, sharp buzz under the deep roar of the kawoosh. Most people never heard it. Jack did. He had been walking through that spinning ring for years. He knew its moods. Today, it sounded annoyed. "Carter," he asked, standing at the base of the ramp in his vest and P90, watching the blue event horizon churn. "Please tell me that sound is normal." Samantha Carter was at the control room window with a headset on. She did not look relaxed. "The off-world gate is sending some kind of extra energy back, sir," she called down. "It could just be feedback from their generator, but always nice to hear could when we're about to walk into an unstable wormhole," Jack said. "Very comforting. Warms the heart." Daniel Jackson adjusted his glasses beside him. "It's probably fine. They dialed in. We sent the iris code. They radioed that the area is secure. We've done this 1,000 times." Teal'c stood on Jack's other side, staff weapon at rest. He did not blink. "Indeed," Teal'c said. "If there is great danger, we will face it together." Jack snorted. "You say that now. Wait until we end up in another time loop or something." The gate tech's voice crackled over the speakers. "Chevron 7 locked. Wormhole stable. You are go, SG1. The iris opened. Jack took a breath. He had walked through this thing when it led to ice worlds, lava worlds, creepy graveyards, and once, a planet full of people who worshipped a guy with too many snakes. It was never really safe. It was just less crazy than usual. "Okay, campers," he said. "Let's go home." He walked up the ramp and stepped into the shimmering blue. For half a second, weight vanished. The world stretched. Colors smeared. He felt the usual tingle across his skin. Then everything went wrong. The tunnel felt too bright, too loud. Carter shouted something behind him, but the sound twisted and stretched. Static bit into his ears. A second light slammed into the side of the wormhole, like lightning hitting water. Jack knew this feeling. Not the details, but the gut sense. We are not going where we think. "Oh, for crying!" The tunnel spat him out. He hit hot pavement and rolled. Air punched out of his lungs. His back slammed against something metal. Car alarm shriek stabbed his ears. Jack coughed, blinked, and stared up. Not the SGC. Tall glass towers scraped at a smoky sky. Street signs, traffic lights, crowds of people running and screaming. Cars smashed into each other. Fire poured from the side of a building. Above, a hole was ripped open in the sky. It was not a Stargate. It was a glowing, swirling wound with dark shapes diving through. Small ships screamed down, spitting blue energy blasts at the streets. "New York?" Jack croaked. A blast hit the road nearby and blew a pickup sideways. Windows shattered. People dove behind cars. Teal'c flew out of the fading blue puddle in the air and landed in a roll, already bringing his staff weapon up. Carter stumbled out next, then Daniel, clutching his pack. "Definitely not the SGC," Daniel gasped. "Get to cover," Jack shouted. He moved without thinking. Years of habit kicked in. He grabbed Daniel's vest and yanked him behind a concrete barrier. Teal'c took position at the end of the block, staff pointed up. Carter slid behind a parked car, eyes already scanning the sky. One of the small ships banked low, aiming its guns at a cluster of people stuck by a crashed bus. "Teal'c!" Jack barked. A bright blast from Teal'c's staff weapon hit the ship's underside. It rocked, spiraled, and slammed into a building. Fire and smoke burst out. Carter tossed a smoke grenade to cover a group of kids running. Jack saw a man pinned in a car and sprinted over. "Hey!" Jack yelled, bracing his shoulder against the crushed door. "You want to live? Push!" The man pushed. Jack heaved. The door finally gave, and the man scrambled free, staring at Jack's gear and P90. "Who are you?" he stammered. "Long story," Jack said. "Short version. Good guys. Run that way." He pointed to a safer side street. Another blast shook the ground. Something bigger came through the sky. A sleek red and gold shape streaked past, leaving a trail of bright light. It fired twin beams at an alien gun platform on a rooftop and blew it apart. Jack stared. "Carter." "Yes, sir." "Is that a man in flying red armor?" "Yes, sir." "Okay, that's new." Iron Man banked around and hovered in the air, scanning the street with bright white eyes in his helmet. He locked onto SG1 in seconds. "Unidentified armed group on the ground," a smooth voice boomed through speakers. "Drop your weapons now." "Oh, come on," Jack muttered. He stepped in front of the others, but kept his gun pointed at the sky. "We're with Earth," he shouted. "Well, in Earth. Stop shooting for 2 seconds and those guys—" A bolt of energy shot toward them from another ship. Jack swung his P90 and fired a burst, but the blast would hit first. Lightning crashed down from the sky. It smashed into the alien ship, wrapped around it, and hurled it sideways into an empty building. The air tingled with static and burned ozone. A figure landed hard on the street, cracking the pavement. A tall man in armor, rigged cape, hammer in hand. Jack froze. "Thor?" he blurted. The armored man straightened. He had long blonde hair and a beard. He looked nothing like the small gray Asgard Jack knew. His eyes were bright and sharp. "I am Thor, son of Odin," he said. "Who calls my name in this battle?" Jack stared. Then he squinted. "You're not Thor." The man frowned. "I assure you, I am." "Yeah, no," Jack said. "You're Thor 2.0. Fake Thor. The real Thor is about 3 feet tall and gray, and flies a spaceship shaped like a—" "Colonel," Carter hissed. "Not the time." Iron Man dropped lower, keeping a repulsor beam aimed near, but not at Jack. "Okay, mystery soldiers," the man in the armor said. "I've got aliens invading, a hole in the sky, and now cosplay commandos with energy staffs. You're going to make this simple. Who are you, and why did you come out of that thing?" Jack followed his gaze. Behind them, where the Stargate should have been, there was just a warped ring of glowing metal half buried in the street. It sparked and hissed, trying and failing to form a proper event horizon. The sky portal above roared louder. Another circle of light opened in the air nearby. This one was different. Clean. Golden. A ring of spinning sparks. A man in a red cloak stepped out onto the street. His hands moved in slow patterns. The cloak floated as if alive. His eyes took in the ruined ring, the sky tier, and SG1 in one fast sweep. Jack did not know him, but he recognized the look. It was the look Carter got when she saw a new kind of physics. The man in the cloak spoke softly to Iron Man and Thor, but Jack could still hear him. "They're out of place," he said. "Not just from another country. From another universe." Jack lifted his hands, palms out, P90 still hanging on its sling. "Hi," he said. "I'm Colonel Jack O'Neill, and I think we made a wrong turn." The sky rumbled, and the broken ring behind them sparked again, like it was trying to wake something else up. Steve Rogers watched the strangers through the glass. The briefing room on the helicarrier was small and plain. Metal table, metal chairs, a pane of reinforced glass on one wall, cameras in the ceiling, the usual. Inside, the 4 new arrivals sat together. They all wore the same black boots and green vests. They moved like soldiers, but their gear was wrong. The woman, Carter, kept glancing at the walls and counting seconds under her breath. The tall man with the gold tattoo on his forehead sat very still, like a coiled spring. The older man with gray hair, O'Neill, leaned back in his chair and pretended to be bored. But Steve could see his eyes. They were checking every angle. The man with glasses, Jackson, had a notebook. He was already writing. "Not your usual Hydra hit squad," Natasha said softly beside Steve. Nick Fury folded his arms. No symbols, no flags. Weapons we can't fully identify. And they stepped out of a broken ring on a New York street that did not come from any of our files. Bruce Banner, wearing a simple shirt and looking like he wanted to be anywhere else, tapped on a tablet. The ring's metal isn't matching anything common. There's an unknown element in it. Not vibranium, not Chitauri, something else. Tony Stark walked in late, face still smudged from the fight, armor gone, suit slightly torn. Good news, he said. Aliens are off the street. Bad news. Nobody knows what that sky hole was. Worse news. Whatever that ring was, it was trying to talk to it. He glanced at Steve. So, Cap, how was your day? Busy, Steve said. On the other side of the glass, O'Neill raised a hand and pointed at the camera. He knows we're watching, Steve said. Of course he does, Fury said. Question is, who is watching him? Dr. Strange stepped up on Steve's other side, cloak shifting around him like it had thoughts of its own. His eyes were calm. They came through a damaged wormhole, Strange said. From a different reality. Their path crossed with the energy from the sky rift. 2 doors open at once. The result shoved them here. Steve frowned. Can we send them back? Not without making the rift worse, Strange said. Not yet. Fury nodded to Natasha. Bring them in. Let's see what they say. From Daniel Jackson's point of view, this was both a nightmare and a dream. He sat at the table, fingers around a metal mug of water, and tried not to stare at the odd details. The design of the door, hinges, the markings on the floor, the faint hum of some engine under the room. Everything spoke of a different culture, a different Earth. He could not help it. His mind wanted to catalog. The door hissed open. A man in a blue suit with a white star on his chest walked in. Behind him came Nick Fury, in a long black coat, one eye covered by an eye patch. Natasha slipped in silently. Tony Stark just strolled in like a man who owned the ship. Sorry to keep you waiting, Fury said. We had an alien attack, a tear in the sky, and a new set of friends drop in. Been a busy afternoon. Jack lifted his mug in a lazy salute. We understand. Tuesdays are like that for us, too. The man in the blue suit sat down across from Daniel. Up close, he looked tired in a familiar way, like a soldier who had seen too many wars. I'm Steve Rogers, he said. Captain America. Daniel blinked. You're Captain America, Jack muttered. Let me guess. You have a guy called Colonel Canada, too. Steve's lip twitched, just a little. Not yet. Fury took the seat at the head of the table. Names, ranks, home. Colonel Jack O'Neill, United States Air Force, Jack said. Earth. Major Samantha Carter, United States Air Force, Carter said. Teal'c of Chulak, the Jaffa said. First Prime, formerly. Dr. Daniel Jackson, Daniel said. Civilian, archaeologist, linguist. Fury's eye narrowed. Chulak, that is not on any map I've seen. It wouldn't be, Daniel said. He took a breath. Because it's not on this planet. The room went very quiet. Tony rested his elbows on the table. Okay, I'm listening. Daniel had told this story many times. To generals, to village elders, to his own parents, at their grave. He kept it simple now. There is a device on our Earth, he said. We call it the Stargate. It's a ring made of an alien metal. Creates wormholes to other planets. We travel through it. Like a stable portal, Tony said. Gate tech. Love it. Go on. The people who built the gate are gone, Daniel said. But other aliens used it. They pretended to be gods and took humans from Earth as slaves. They spread them to other worlds. My team works for a program that explores those worlds and fights those false gods. Teal'c's jaw tightened slightly. I was first prime of Apophis, Teal'c said. A servant of a Goa'uld, a parasite that ruled as a god, I betrayed him to free my people. I now fight by the side of O'Neill and SG1. Goa'uld, Natasha repeated carefully. Snake parasites that live in people's heads, Jack said. Not fun at parties. Bruce looked a little green. That tracks with the scans of the metal we found in your weapons. It's not from here. Steve listened. These people were calm. They did not sound like liars. They sounded tired, like him. So your world has its own secret war, he said, against aliens using humans as slaves. Yes, Daniel said. We came home from one of those missions. Our Stargate connected to our base. But something went wrong in the wormhole. There was another energy, another portal. The two paths crossed, and we ended up on your street instead. Lucky us, Tony said. Jack glanced at him. You're welcome. We shot a few of your aliens. No charge. Fury leaned forward. You're telling me there's another Earth with a secret space war and a door in the ground that connects it to hundreds of planets, and you just dropped that door into my city? Jack spread his hands. Hey, if it helps, we didn't mean to. Strange stepped closer to the table. Their story fits what I saw. The energy signature of their Stargate matched the broken ring in the street, and it tangled with the rift above New York. That rift was not from their world. It was from ours. Some leftover strain in the fabric from older battles. Tony looked down, jaw tightening. Ultron, the Chitauri, his mistakes, all of it. So our mess plus their door made a brand new mess, he said. Fantastic. Can you send us back? Carter asked. Her voice was steady, but Daniel heard the weight in it. Strange shook his head. Not yet. The path you came through is unstable. For now, opening it again would make the rift worse. And we don't know what else could slip through. So we're stuck, Jack said. You know, I really thought my day couldn't get any better. Steve spoke before Fury could. Stuck or not, you helped us today, he said. You protected people you don't know, in a city you've never seen. That matters. He looked at Fury. We can keep them as guests, under watch. Let them help us fix this. Fury did not like it. Steve could see it. The director wanted control, total control. But he also knew he needed allies. We'll guest them, Fury said finally. In one of the most secure facilities on this planet. Stark, Banner, Carter, you'll study that ring. Strange, you'll keep an eye on the sky. I want to know if anything else notices what happened today. Something already has, Strange said quietly. Everyone turned to him. In the dark between stars, there are minds who watch when the rules bend, he said. Today, the rules bent. Steve felt a chill. Jack sighed and leaned back. Great. New universe, new enemies, same schedule. He glanced at the window, at the clouds outside. And for the record, he said, your Thor is still the wrong Thor. The broken ring lay on a table like a wounded animal. Sam stood over it in the Stark Tower lab, hair tied back, hands on the metal frame. She could feel the hum of energy in it even without the sensors. It was like standing near the event horizon of an active gate, only wrong. Your metal is amazing, Tony said, scanning the frame with a sleek device that looked like a cross between a screwdriver and a wand. I mean, terrible accident and all, but this metal is beautiful. The energy pathways, the way it held the wormhole in a stable shape. It's better than half the stuff I've built. It's called Naquata, Sam said. It's rare, very dense, very good at conducting and storing energy. Tony's eyes lit up. You brought me alien supermetal. You're my new favorite person. Careful, Bruce said from the other side of the table. Last time you said that about alien tech, we almost all died. Tony pointed at him. Rude, but fair. Sam tried to focus on the numbers. The patterns were familiar. Gate addresses, wormhole curves. But there was a third signal now. Something that did not belong to their gate at all. "This is your rift energy," she said, tapping a wave on the screen. It crossed our wormhole and twisted the path. "Yeah," Tony said. "That's kind of on us. We've had a few portal problems. Chitauri invasion, killer robot. You know, standard midweek stuff." Sam looked up at him. "Your world is very busy. You have no idea." She turned back to the frame. Tiny glints caught her eye. Small bits of something clung to the metal, almost like dust. But the pattern... Her stomach dropped. "No," she whispered. "What is it?" Bruce asked. Sam zoomed in on the image. Little blocks of metal, each the size of a grain of rice. Stacked shapes, tiny lines and joints. "I know these," she said. "I fought them before." Tony leaned in. "They look like micro-assemblies, little machine bricks." "Replicators," Sam said. Her throat felt tight. "Self-replicating machines. They copy themselves. They adapt to weapons. They eat metal. Entire worlds." Bruce's face paled. "Wait," Tony said slowly. "You brought a self-replicating nanotech swarm to my tower?" Sam shook her head fast. "We killed them. Years ago. The Asgard helped us. I thought there were none left. These must be dead fragments that were stuck to the gate. Old debris." Tony exhaled. "Okay, so they're dead. We'll scoop them up, throw them into the sun, and..." The lights flickered. The arc reactor deep below them gave off a faint extra thrum. Bruce looked up. "Did you feel that?" he asked. Sam's heart sped up. She grabbed a hand scanner and swept it over the gate metal. The little blocks moved, just a fraction of a millimeter, enough to show they were not dead after all. "Oh no," Sam whispered. The shards stretched, their surfaces glowing faintly as they drank in power from the nearby machines. They clicked together, forming thin threads that slid into the lab's power conduits like worms vanishing into soil. Alarms flashed on Tony's screens. "Unscheduled access," Jarvis's calm voice said. "Unknown code signatures entering secondary systems." "Cut power from the lab," Tony snapped. Bruce lunged for a control panel. The lights went from bright white to red emergency glow. For 2 seconds, everything was quiet. Then, somewhere deep in the tower, metal began to move. The news called it another New York incident. Steve watched the footage on a wall of screens in the helicarrier command room. Different channels, same panic. Shaky phone videos of the attack on Stark Tower. Blasts in the sky. Pieces of armored drones falling like burning rain. A blur of green that could only be Hulk. A flash of lightning that had to be Thor. And in the middle of all that, if you slowed the video down, you could see 4 figures in unfamiliar gear. A tall man with a staff that fired golden blasts. A woman in a tack vest throwing grenades with perfect timing. An older soldier shouting orders. A man with glasses shoving people out of danger. The commentators did not know their names, so they made up their own. Unknown Special Forces. Shadow Unit. Secret Avengers. Steve muted the sound. He did not need to hear people argue about it. Nick Fury stood with his hands behind his back, watching a different screen. It showed a live feed of Stark Tower's lab, now empty. The broken ring of the Stargate sat in the center, under a cage of force fields and robotic arms. Beside it, the anti-replicator device hummed quietly in its frame. Tony, Bruce, Carter, and a small army of robots had built it in a panic and fired it in time. Most of the machines had died in that pulse. Most. Not all. "We managed to stop the swarm inside the tower," Fury said, "but we still have traces in our satellite network, some in lower orbit. Jarvis is quarantining what he can. Strange is watching the sky, and the rest of the world is watching us." Steve looked at another screen. It showed the UN building, cameras pressed in on a man at a podium. "The people deserve to know the truth," the delegate said. "How many more alien attacks will we face? How many more experiments with portals and weapons? And now we see unknown soldiers with advanced guns in the middle of New York. Who are they? Who do they serve?" Steve turned the monitor off. "Blaming someone is easier than fixing the problem," he said. Fury's jaw worked. People don't like surprises. They like their sky to stay put. He turned to face Steve. "Right now, I've got governments demanding to know if we're building secret armies, asking if these SG1 people are ours, or if they're someone else's." "They're not anyone's," Steve said. "They're just like us." He thought of O'Neill holding the line in the tower, firing short, controlled bursts, while replicators crawled over the walls. Of Carter yelling instructions over the intercom. Of Daniel pushing a lab tech behind cover. Teal'c smashing a replicator drone with a staff strike that cracked the floor. "Like us doesn't help me in front of a committee," Fury said. "They want control. They want someone they can blame or point a gun at." Steve crossed his arms. "What do you want?" Fury did not answer right away. "I want that machine plague gone," he said at last. "I want that broken ring either fixed under our rules or taken apart so small no one can ever use it again. And I want to know exactly how much damage those 4 soldiers can do if they decide they don't like us." Steve held his gaze. "They saved lives today. Twice." Fury met his stare without flinching. "So did you. And I still keep files on how to stop you if I ever have to." Steve was not surprised. It still stung. He looked back at the screens, at the crowds, at the fear. "We should bring SG1 into the room," he said. "Ask them, not about what we can take from them, about what they know, about what they're afraid of." Fury exhaled through his nose. "You talk to them your way," he said. "I'll talk to them mine." Jack O'Neill stared at the one-way mirror and wished he had a donut. He sat in another small metal room. Different ship, same vibe. Table bolted to the floor, chairs that were just uncomfortable enough to annoy you, but not painful enough to count as torture. Carter sat to his left, eyes half closed, probably running math in her head. Daniel sat across from Jack, going through his notes. Teal'c stood in the corner, because chairs were for people with less spine. "They are making us wait," Teal'c said. "Yeah," Jack said. "It's a power move. Make the visitors stew. Gives the boss time to practice his glare." "You yourself often arrive late to meetings," Teal'c said. "That's different," Jack said. "When I do it, it's charming." The door opened. Nick Fury stepped in. He did not sit right away. He put a slim folder on the table and watched them. "So," he said, "you fought off a swarm of self-copying death machines, in my city, with my people, using your experience from your world. I should say, thank you." Jack leaned back. "You absolutely should." Fury did not smile. "But I won't, because those things came here on your broken ring." Jack's own smile faded. He had been waiting for this. "Those things were stuck to the gate when we left our universe," Carter said. Her voice was calm, but her shoulders were tight. "We thought they were dead. The Asgard helped us stop them. There were no signs of activity for years. And then they came into my tower, rode my power grid, and tried to build a new body," Fury said. "Used our satellite network as a highway. You can see why I might be upset." Daniel pushed his glasses up. "With respect, Director, your world already had a lot of portal damage. Your rift in the sky crossed our wormhole. That's what dragged us here." Fury opened the folder. Inside were pictures, grainy shots of SG1 on different missions on Earth, news reports, satellite photos. "You've been here only a short time, and already you're in more camera feeds than most spies in a decade," Fury said. "You say you serve a secret program, but the longer you stay, the less secret you get. Jack clenched his jaw. We didn't ask to stay. No, Fury said, but you're here now. So let me make this clear. I am responsible for this planet, for this sky, for those people out there. He jabbed a finger upward toward the vague direction of the world above the helicarrier. If your gate tech, and your replicators, and your snake gods, and whatever else you've been punching decide to drop by, that's on you. And it's on me to make sure it doesn't happen. Carter frowned. What are you saying? Fury sat down and steepled his fingers. I want everything you know about the Stargate, he said. Designs, fail-safes, addresses, enemy profiles. I want you working for us, under our command, or at the very least, under our observation. No more, we'll handle it our way. You don't have a base here. You don't have a chain of command. You have us. Jack's first instinct was to say something sarcastic. Something about how well top-down control had worked with the NID back home. How many messes they had cleaned up from people who thought they knew better. He took a breath instead. Director, he said, I'm sure you're used to being the smartest guy in the room, or the scariest. But where we come from, more than one man has tried to own the gate, tried to use it as a toy or a weapon. People died. Planets died. We don't hand over the keys, not even to nice people. And no offense, you're not that nice. Fury's eye flashed. You don't get to call the shots here, Colonel, he said. Jack met his glare. He thought of Hammond, of Landry, of General George West trying to shut them down, of the NID grabbing alien tech and causing disasters, of Kinsey. Then maybe we don't have a deal, Jack said. Teal'c shifted, his weight slightly. Carter's hand tightened around her pen. Daniel swallowed. For a moment, the room was heavy. Then Fury leaned back. I'm not asking you to trust me, he said. Hell, if our positions were flipped, I wouldn't trust me. But this is what's on the board. You have knowledge we need. We have resources you need. The longer we argue, the more time those replicator bits have to learn our systems. He closed the folder. Think about it, he said, standing up. Rogers is going to talk to you later. He's the one who still believes people can just work together and hold hands. Maybe he'll get through. He walked out without looking back. Jack sat very still for a long moment. Jack, Daniel said quietly. I know, Jack said. He rubbed his face. He's not wrong about everything. That's the annoying part. Tony's lab was even more crowded now. Holographic screens floated in the air. Diagnostic arms scanned every corner of the room. Extra power lines ran to the anti-replicator device in the corner. The broken gate ring sat in a reinforced cradle, covered with sensors and armor plates. Carter stood in front of a large display that showed the Earth. Tiny red dots blinked across it. Orbital paths, satellite clusters, known bits of replicator code. Jarvis, status, Tony said, fingers flicking through windows. Primary systems are clean, Jarvis replied. We have isolated and quarantined replicator signatures in 13 satellites, 4 decommissioned drones, and 1 very stubborn vending machine. Bruce sighed. Of course they took over a vending machine. Tony shot him a look. Hey, snack distribution is critical infrastructure. He turned to Carter. We can keep squeezing them out of the network, he said. But they're learning. Every time we close a door, they try a new pattern. Like a very rude, very smart virus that likes metal more than data. Carter nodded. That's how they work. Back home, every weapon we used they adapted to. We had to keep changing tactics. Bruce rubbed the back of his neck. We have one advantage. They don't know Hulk very well. Carter gave him a small smile. Not many enemies do. Tony leaned against the table. Look, he said. Fury wants me to ask you for a full download. Gate blueprints, enemy files, everything. I'm not going to pretend I don't want those. They're incredible. from an engineering standpoint. Carter watched him. But I also know what happens when someone like me gets too much power too fast, Tony said. I build things I can't always control. I've done that more than once. Bruce looked away at that. Tony went on. So here's my offer. Not Fury's. Mine. You help me build tools to fight these things. You teach me how to detect them, how to shut them down. In return, I help you find a way home. We don't have to give Fury every little detail. We just have to keep the world from ending. Carter studied his face. You already started building, just in case they go bad plans for us, didn't you? She asked. Tony did not deny it. I'd be a bad futurist if I didn't. Carter nodded slowly. Back home, we had a group called the NID. They wanted to take the gate, too. Use it for themselves. They caused a lot of trouble. But they also forced us to prepare for the worst. To put limits in place. Checks. Bruce raised his eyebrows. You're saying Fury is your NID? He's better dressed, Carter said. But yes, similar instincts. Tony blew out a breath. So, partnership? Limited info sharing. Mutually assured annoyance of Fury. Carter looked at the red dots on the map. Each one was a machine learning more about this world. Each was a seed. We'll work with you, she said. But we don't give you everything. Not yet. We've made too many mistakes with trust before. She touched the broken ring. And we need more than just your tech, she said. We need something bigger. In our world, the only ones who could push back the Replicators were the Asgard. Tony tapped his chin. About that. Our Asgard are different. Daniel found Steve on a quiet deck near the edge of the helicarrier. The sun was low, painting the clouds orange. The air was cold and smelled of fuel and metal. Below, faint and far, the ocean glimmered. Steve held a file in his hands but wasn't reading it. He was looking at the horizon. Hey, Daniel said softly. Steve glanced back. Hey, Doc. Daniel came to stand beside him. The rail was at that awkward height where he had to lean a little. I hope I'm not interrupting, he said. No, Steve said. Just thinking. Daniel had seen that look before, on soldiers stuck on other planets, wondering if the next gate trip home would work, on civilians staring at a destroyed village, wondering how to rebuild. What are you thinking about? Daniel asked. Steve considered it for a moment. Home, he said. What it means, when it keeps changing. Daniel nodded. We have that problem a lot. Steve looked at him. How long have you been doing this? Gate travel, other worlds. Daniel smiled faintly. Feels like a lifetime. Technically, I even died a couple of times. It's a long story. Steve blinked. You died? Yeah, Daniel said. Got better. Sort of. Don't worry, it's not contagious. Steve shook his head, half amused. Daniel went on. My point is, every time we went through the gate, we met a new culture. People who had no idea Earth existed, or who thought Earth was something else. We had to decide over and over what our duty was. To them. To our people. To the truth. He watched the clouds. Back home, the Stargate is a secret. Only a few people on Earth know about it. Sometimes that felt safe. Sometimes it felt dishonest. People died to keep that secret. Steve was very still. Here, your world knows about aliens, Daniel said. About gods and monsters. At least a little. You stand in front of cameras in that suit and tell them you'll keep them safe. That must be heavy. Steve smiled without humor. Yeah, sometimes it is. He closed the file. When I woke up after the ice, everything was strange, Steve said. New music, new buildings, new wars. The one thing that stayed the same was this. People still needed someone to stand between them and whatever was coming. That's what I do. I don't always like how we do it, but I keep doing it." He looked at Daniel. "Fury wants control," he said. "He thinks if he holds all the strings, nothing can surprise him. He's wrong, but I understand why he thinks that way. I used to think duty meant doing what the people in charge told you, no matter what. Now I think it means doing what's right, even when the people in charge don't like it." Daniel smiled. "We could use more people like you where we're from." "You have them," Steve said. "I saw it. In that tower, you stood your ground. You didn't run. You protected strangers. That's the same job." Daniel's chest tightened. "I want to go home," he said. The words tasted raw. "I want to see our base again, our planet, our friends. But if going home means opening a path for those machines to reach more worlds, I don't know if I could live with that." Steve nodded slowly. "Sometimes we don't get to have everything," he said. "Sometimes the best choice hurts." They stood in silence for a while. "Whatever happens," Steve said at last, "I'll argue for you, for giving you a say. You're not weapons. You're people." Daniel swallowed hard. "Thank you," he said. In the training room, Teal'c and Natasha Romanoff moved like two parts of a single machine. He swung his staff in a wide arc. She dropped under it, rolled, and came up behind him with a strike toward his kidney. He caught her arm, turned, and used his weight to push her back. She flipped, landed on her hands, and snapped her legs up to hook his shoulders. He stepped aside and let her momentum carry her into a roll. They had been sparring for 20 minutes. Neither had gone full strength. It was still intense. Hawkeye leaned against the wall, watching. "Glad they're on our side." Teal'c lowered his staff. "You fight well, Natasha Romanoff," he said. "You move without fear." Natasha, breathing a little harder, smirked. Fear is not the same as hesitation. She grabbed a towel, wiped sweat from her face, and took a drink of water. Teal'c did not seem winded. "You were the right hand of a false god," she said. "That must have been busy." "It was," Teal'c said. "I led armies. I enforced the will of a parasite that lived in the body of a man. I killed many who resisted, many who did not deserve death." He looked at the floor. "I believed I had no choice," he said. "That was a lie I told myself." Natasha nodded. "I was trained from childhood to be a weapon," she said. "They taught me to ignore pain, to lie, to kill. I did things I can never undo." She met his eyes. "We both left," she said. "We both decided to change sides." "Correct," Teal'c said. "Do you ever feel like it's not enough?" she asked. "Like no matter how many people you save now, it doesn't balance everything else?" Teal'c thought about his son's face when he first left, about the Jaffa still enslaved. "Often," he said. Natasha gave a small, crooked smile. "Yeah, me too." They stood side by side for a moment. "But we still fight," Teal'c said. "Not to erase the past. That is not possible. But to make the present less dark." "Less dark," Natasha repeated. "I like that." She picked up her batons. "Come on, giant space monk. One more round." He inclined his head. "As you wish." In a forgotten warehouse on the edge of the city, metal woke up. The building had been empty for years. Rusted beams, broken windows, leftover crates. Rats. Now, the rats scattered as the steel itself began to move. Shards crept out of discarded machines. Tiny blocks slid together, forming chains, then sheets. They climbed the walls, the pillars, the old cranes. They bent them into new shapes. In the center of the floor, a column of metal rose. It twisted, splitting into arms, then into branching lines like the veins of a leaf. Lights flickered along its surface. The replicator mind spread. It had been many small pieces a short time ago, suspending motion. Waiting. The humans had hit it with a wave that disrupted its bonds. It had lost much, but some fragments had hidden inside the gaps of data and the corners of machines. They had called to each other. Now, memory returned. It remembered their old enemies, humans with strange courage, small gray ones with bright ships. It remembered losing battles and learning. And it remembered new data, armor designs, artificial intelligence code, images of green giants and thunder gods, records of the Tesseract, of other portals, of the fragile fabric between worlds. This new universe was rich. The Replicator core pulsed. It shaped part of itself into a simple form. A tall figure with smooth metal skin and a face suggested more than formed. Eyes like dark pits. This body was not needed. It was a symbol, a tool to speak with the shapes that called themselves humans. In the dark, the Replicator Queen considered paths. Path 1, grow in secret on this world, consume metal, learn every weapon, face the gods when strength was enough. Risk, high. Time, long. Path 2, follow the energy that had stung it, the strange light bridge that had opened for the hammer bearer. That light tasted like the old Asgard, like the only ones who had truly threatened the swarm. Opportunity. If it could reach that source, it could devour their power, add their knowledge to its own. Then no world, no god, no portal would be barred. The Queen extended a hand. Threads of herself flowed into cables in the wall, into fiber lines, into hidden networks. Not just human ones. Others. She sent out a thin, careful feeler, riding old Bifrost readings from the broken gate. The data whispered of a realm above the world, connected by rainbow fire. She smiled, though she had no lips. She would follow. Dr. Strange stood in the center of the sanctum's main hall, eyes closed. The air around him shimmered. Invisible currents moved past him. Each pattern was a story, a spell, a rule. He reached out with senses that were not eyes or ears. He touched the point where the rift in the sky had been. It still ached, like a scar not fully healed. He followed the echo of the Stargate's broken wormhole. He felt the residue of the anti-replicator pulse. He also felt something else, a thin, cold line. It reached up, beyond the atmosphere, into places humans did not see. It was like a spider thread made of pure intention. It tasted like hunger. Wong stepped into the hall, carrying a tray of tea. "You feel it too," Wong said. "Yes," Strange said. "The machines are not just in the wires. They are trying to climb." "Can you stop them?" Wong asked. Strange opened his eyes. "Not alone. Not like this. Their path is not along simple space. They are hitchhiking on past signals, on memories of magic." He walked to a map of the realms on the wall. Earth at the center, Asgard above, the dark worlds around. "I can patch the local rift," he said. "I can make it harder for them. But if they reach another realm, one with stronger magic or more advanced tech, they will be harder to remove." Wong set down the tray. "And the strangers?" he asked. "SG1? Strange thought of Carter's sharp eyes, Daniel's quiet questions, Teal's calm strength, Jack's tired jokes. "They did not choose to bring this here," Strange said. "But they know it better than we do." He tapped Asgard on the map. "There is one place that has faced machine plagues before," he said. "Our Asgard are not the same as theirs, but they are still old, still wise. If there is an answer, it might be there." Wong nodded. "Thor will not like hearing that his home is at risk." "No," Strange said, "but he will go anyway." They gathered in the briefing room again. This time, Thor was there, standing with his arms folded, cape falling over one shoulder. He looked more serious than Jack had seen him yet. "The replicators are not just a local problem," Carter said, pointing at a projection of the Earth and the surrounding realms Strange had supplied. "They're using your magic, your past portals. They're tasting Asgard." Thor's eyes narrowed. "Machines that learn and feed on metal," he said. "In my world, we have faced many foes. Giants, dark elves, fire, demons, but not this. In ours, they nearly destroyed the Asgard race," Jack said. "The real ones." Thor shot him a look. "Your little gray friends?" he said. "You have mentioned them many times, O'Neill. I begin to think you miss them." Jack shrugged. "They had better manners than you. No offense." Steve looked between them. "Focus." Carter pointed at another line on the image. "Our records show the Asgard in our universe built a weapon, a kind of wave that could disrupt the Replicators' bonds. We used it once. It worked. I tried to copy that effect with your tech in the tower. It worked, but only locally. To scale it up, we'd need a deeper understanding of how your Asgardian energy interacts with matter." "And you believe Asgard itself holds that knowledge," Thor said. "Yes," Carter said. "Your scholars, your records, your power sources. If we combine what I know about the Replicators with what you know about everything Asgard, we might create something stronger. Something we can use to clear them from your networks, and maybe from orbit." Tony nodded. "I can't believe I'm saying this, but she's right. We're hitting a ceiling with Earth tech. We need bigger toys." Fury did not like this. Steve could see it. "Taking you off-world is a risk," Fury said. "If this goes wrong, we lose our new experts and one of our heavy hitters." Thor lifted his chin. "If this goes wrong and we do nothing, you lose far more than that, Fury. Machines like these will not stop at your borders. Or at your sky." Strange stepped forward. "I can help anchor the path," he said. "I can ride the Bifrost with them and monitor the magical side. If the Replicators try to hitch a ride, I might see it." Fury looked at SG1. His eye lingered on Jack. "You step onto that bridge, you're out of my reach," Fury said. "No comms, no backup. If things go bad, I can't send a Quinjet to pick you up." Jack thought about it. Off-world missions were their normal. He had set foot on planets no one on this world could pronounce. He had seen whole civilizations. He had also almost died on more of them than he could count. "At least this time there'll be a gift shop," he said. "Golden City, right? Maybe some nice souvenirs." Carter rolled her eyes. Daniel smiled faintly. Teal'c looked calm. "We have faced the Replicators before," Teal'c said. "We will face them again." Steve stepped toward Fury. "I'll go with them," Steve said. "They shouldn't face this alone. And if Asgard decides Earth isn't worth the risk, they should see someone from here who cares." Tony raised a hand. "Me too. If we're designing a giant bug zapper with god magic, I want front row seats." Thor smiled. "Then it is settled." Fury looked like he wanted to argue more. Then he sighed. "Fine," he said. "But I want live feeds whenever possible. And if you run into trouble, you call. I don't care if you're in a golden hall or on a floating space goat. You call." Jack gave him a half salute. "Yes, sir. We'll send postcards." The Bifrost site was a circle of carved stone on a lonely plain. The sky above was dark and wide. The city lights were distant. Wind tugged at Jack's jacket. He shivered. Not from cold, from memory. Standing on an alien platform, waiting for something impossible. Thor walked to the center of the circle and lifted his hammer. "Stand close," he said. Jack stepped up beside him. Carter, Daniel, Teal'c, Steve, Tony, and Strange joined them. Strange's cloak fluttered like it was excited. Tony glanced at Jack. "First time on a rainbow space highway," Jack grunted. "We've done worse." Thor raised Mjolnir. Light gathered at the hammer's head. The air hummed. The ground shook. Then a column of pure energy slammed down from the sky. It engulfed them in bright, blinding light. For a heartbeat, Jack felt weightless. His stomach flipped. The world turned into streaks of color, shooting up and out. He heard Daniel gasp, felt Teal'c steady, heard Tony mutter, "Okay, this is cooler than a wormhole," and Carter snap, "We can discuss that later." The beam snapped off. They stood on smooth stone. The air was different, clear, sharp. The sky was full of strange stars and drifting lights. Ahead of them rose a city of towers and bridges, all gold and white, shining under a dark violet sky. Waterfalls poured into nothing at the edges. Energy lines moved through the air like gentle comets. "Welcome to Asgard," Thor said. Jack whistled low. "Yeah," he said. The little guy really let himself go. Jack had seen grand halls before. Goa old palaces, ancient temples, places designed to make normal people feel small. The throne room of Asgard was different. It was huge, yes. Pillars of carved stone held up a high ceiling that glowed with inlaid patterns. There were banners. There was a long walkway leading to a raised throne where Odin sat, one eye steady, a spear resting by his side. But there were also people, guards in armor, servants, courtiers. They watched Thor lead the strange group in with wary curiosity. They did not look like slaves. They looked proud. Jack's stomach twisted as he thought of all the worlds where people had bowed to false gods with the same posture. "Father," Thor said, bowing his head briefly, "I bring allies from Midgard, and from a different Midgard as well." Odin's gaze moved over them. "You bring much trouble with you, son," he said. His voice filled the hall without him needing to shout. "I felt the strain on the Bifrost. I felt the machines that clung to its light." Strange stepped forward and bowed slightly. "All-Father," he said, "I am Stephen Strange, protector of Earth in matters of magic. These are travelers from another reality. Their world has fought a machine plague called the Replicators. That plague has now tasted the power of your realm." Carter swallowed but kept her chin up. "With respect, sir," she said, "we didn't mean to bring them. We also might be the only ones who know how to stop them." Odin studied her. "You are mortal," he said. "Yet I see much knowledge in your eyes." "She is one of their great minds," Thor said proudly. "Sam of Carter. She has the respect of warriors and of the small gray Thor." Jack coughed. "We really need to get him a hologram of the real guy," he muttered. Odin's mouth tugged at the corner, just a hint. "You know another who bears my name," he said. A strange thought. The branches of the tree are many. Daniel's heart jumped. "I'm sorry," he said. "Branches?" Odin looked at him. "Reality has many limbs," he said. "Stories repeated in different ways. Names echo, deeds ripple. In some worlds, we may be small and gray, as your friend says. In others, we are as you see us now. It matters less than what we do." Daniel felt a thrill. Old myths, new physics. It all made too much sense and not enough at once. "We're not here to judge," Steve said. "We're here because if these machines reach Asgard, they will not stop. They will eat your city, your weapons, your records. They will use your power to reach more worlds, maybe more branches." Odin's face hardened. "Then we will crush them," he said simply. "If you try to smash them without a plan, they'll learn your moves," Carter said. "That's what makes them dangerous. They adapt. We need to build something that can break their bonds at a deeper level." Tony stepped forward, hands open. "I've got designs for a pulse device that worked on a small scale," he said. "Her people used something like it before, with another version of your kind. If we can merge what she knows with what you have," he gestured at the golden walls, "we might get a big enough blast to clean them from your systems," he said, "and maybe even our orbit." Odin sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. You will have access to our scholars, he said, and to the vault of knowledge. The Bifrost must be shielded, but its power may be harnessed. You may work with Heimdall and the Seers. But know this. If I sense treachery, or if your machines grow too strong here, I will end this by any means. Jack dipped his head. Fair enough. Thor grinned. Come, he said. I will show you the workshops. As they turned to go, Jack glanced back at the throne. For a moment, Odin's good eye met his. There was weight there, age, worry. Jack knew that look, too. It was the look of a commander sending others into a battle he could not fully see. The Asgard workshop made Stark's lab look like a garage. Carter stood in the center, turning slowly. Walls held racks of glowing crystals, metal rods, and strange tools. Energy conduits ran in patterns she could not fully follow yet. Holographic charts floated in the air, showing runes and equations that felt like cousins to the ones she knew. An older Asgardian, Heimdall, though this one was a tall, armored man rather than the gray scientist she had once known, stood by a large console. His golden eyes were bright. You say your Asgard used a high-frequency wave to disrupt the machines, he said. They targeted the bonds between the pieces, not the mass itself. Yes, Carter said. They called it an anti-replicator weapon. But it had limits. It required a massive power source, and it was tied to their own tech. Heimdall smiled faintly. Limits are for those who fear to step further, he said. Tony coughed. Wow, that sounded like something I'd put on a poster. Bruce rolled his eyes. Carter pulled up her old notes on a tablet. She had memorized most of this, but seeing the waveforms helped. These are the patterns we used, she said. If we can map them onto your energy signatures, we could get a wave that rides the Bifrost itself, a kind of cosmic broom. Heimdall tilted his head. A simple image, he said. But not wrong. He began to input data. Asgard glyphs and math flowed together on the screen. Carter followed as best she could. We must also consider the machine's learning rate, Bruce said. The more time we take, the more they adapt. Tony frowned at his readings. They're already poking at the edges of your sensors, big guy, he said to Heimdall. I'm seeing small anomalies in your outer shields. Heimdall's brow furrowed. I see it, he said. Tiny spikes. Like termites in the walls. Carter's skin prickled. They followed us, she whispered. On another part of the screen, a thin, spidery pattern appeared. It traced a path from Earth to Asgard, along the old Bifrost Channel. It was faint, but it was there. They're here, Heimdall said. An alarm horn sounded somewhere deeper in the city. Thor smelled burning metal before he heard the screams. He had been walking with Steve and Teal'c along one of the city bridges, showing them the view. Steve had asked about past wars. Teal'c had asked about honor. Thor had been glad to speak of battles he had won, of foes he had vanquished. Now he saw a tower ahead twist in a way no tower should. Golden panels folded outward like petals, then bent back, forming jaws. The bridge beneath their feet rippled. Thin lines of metal rose like snakes, merging and hardening. Asgardians on the walkway shouted and ran. At the base of the tower, a smooth metal mass grew. It sprouted limbs. It formed a rough, giant shape with too many arms and glowing eyes. Its surface crawled with smaller shapes, always moving. Replicators, Teal'c said. His voice was low and grim. The giant turned toward them. Its eyes flashed. It stepped forward, and each step warped the stone, turning it into more of itself. Thor raised Mjolnir. Steve, get them. Civilians back, he shouted. Teal'c, with me! Steve did not argue. He ran toward a group of stunned Asgardians, shield already in hand. Everyone, move, he yelled. Back to the inner halls. Go! He used his shield to block a falling chunk of metal and guided people around it. Thor leapt forward, lightning gathering around his hammer. "For Asgard," he roared, slamming Mjolnir into the giant's chest. The impact was huge. Light exploded. The giant staggered. Pieces of its chest blew outward, scattering into the air. For a moment, Thor thought that might be enough. Then the pieces hovered, spun, and flew back into place. The wound closed. The metal surface rippled, changing texture. It had learned. Teal'c fired his staff at the creature's legs. The blasts punched holes, but they sealed quickly. "These machines are more advanced than those I have faced," Teal'c said. "They carry the knowledge of Stark's designs." "Then we must strike harder," Thor growled. He called more lightning. It poured down from the sky in a thick bolt, straight into the creature's head. The giant convulsed. On distant walls, smaller replicator clusters crawled, spreading across Asgard's outer shell. They bent spires, chewed through armor, and formed turrets that fired energy blasts at guards. Steve got the last group of civilians into a doorway and turned back to the fight. "Stark, we could really use that fancy bug zapper right now," he shouted into his comm. In the workshop, the alarms grew louder. "They're in the outer structures," Heimdall said, breaching the golden hull, spreading along the bridges. Tony's hands flew. "Carter, we have to fire something now," he said. "Even a half-baked pulse is better than nothing." Carter shook her head. "If we fire the wrong frequency, we could help them adapt faster," she said. "They'll treat it like a training exercise." A portion of the wall to their left shimmered. Metal oozed out of the seams. It crawled into the room in thin lines, wrapping around a support pillar. It pooled on the floor and rose, forming a humanoid shape. The Replicator. Queen's new body stood before them, featureless face, smooth arms, surface constantly shifting as tiny blocks moved. Tony stepped back, hand reaching for his portable repulsor. Bruce stiffened. Heimdall reached for his sword. The figure tilted its head. "You bring us to a feast," it said. Its voice was many voices at once, echoes layered in perfect sync. "We eat and learn. You bring us more." Carter's heart pounded. She had seen replicator leaders before. Cold, logical, never this aware. "We brought you nothing," she said. "You stole power you don't understand." The Queen's head turned toward her. "We understand enough," it said. "We saw your old wars. We saw the small gray ones burn. Their weapon hurt us. We will not permit that again." The metal around its arms flowed into the machines behind it. Screens flickered. The holographic charts warped. Carter's eyes widened as she saw her own anti-replicator waveforms being analyzed and broken apart. "They're reading your designs," Bruce said. Tony snapped his repulsor up and fired. The blast hit the Queen in the chest. The upper half of its body blew backward, splashing onto the wall like liquid metal. For a second, Tony felt a flash of hope. Then the splashed pieces drew together again, forming a new upper body. The Queen reformed, now with a slight curve to its chest where the repulsor had hit. The texture shifted, growing denser. "Pain is data," it said. "We thank you." Tony gritted his teeth. "I really hate learning AIs." Carter stepped forward, mind racing. "You think knowledge alone makes you free," she said, speaking to buy time as much as anything. "You talk about learning, but you only copy. You don't choose. You don't let anyone choose. You turn everything you touch into yourself." The Queen tilted its head. "We offer peace," it said. "Where we spread, conflict ends. Hunger ends. Fear ends. All matter becomes part of one mind. No more war. No more lies. No more death." Images flickered on the screens around them. Worlds covered in smooth metal. No ruins. No fire. No bodies. Just calm surfaces stretching into the distance. Carter felt a twist in her chest. To someone tired of fighting, that might look tempting. To someone like Tony, who had seen his weapons hurt people, the promise of no more war might sound like a cure. Bruce whispered, "That's not peace." Carter forced herself to speak clearly. "That's not life," she said. "Life means choice, mistakes, growth, loss. You erase all of that. You call it ending fear. But really, you end everything. That's not your right." The Queen's surface rippled. "We offered you a place in the pattern," it said. "We watched you build tools to kill us. We will adapt. You cannot stop us with small weapons. You would need the power of gods and stars." Carter glanced at Heimdall. "Then that's what we'll use," she said. She grabbed a control rod from the console and slammed it into a slot. Energy flared. Asgard glyphs lit up on the floor. The Bifrost's power began to spin, channeling into a new pathway. Heimdall's eyes widened. "You are overloading the conduit," he said. "I know," Carter said. "We need a wave strong enough to reach every replicator in the realm. Short, sharp, and aimed." Tony caught on at once. "We'll use the Bifrost ring as a big antenna," he said. "Tie it to the anti-replicator pattern. Fire one huge burst before they can adapt." Bruce grabbed a stabilizer bar. "And if we miscalculate, we overload the Bifrost and blow up half the city," he said. Carter's hands moved fast over the controls. "I'll take that risk," she said. "We don't have another option." The Queen took a step forward. The floor plates under its feet reshaped, trying to bend the patterns in the circle. "You will fail," it said. "We will survive. We always—" It stopped. White lines traced over its surface. The Asgard glyphs on the floor glowed brighter. The Bifrost's hum deepened. Carter had tied the anti-replicator pattern directly into the center of Asgard's power. "Tony!" she shouted. "Now!" Tony slammed his palm down on the final control crystal. The world flickered. For a heartbeat, Asgard became a web of light. Lines ran along every bridge, every wall, every plate of gold. The hum rose to a piercing tone. Then the wave hit. It was not heat. It was not shock. It was a command. An instruction at the deepest level of the machine's bonds. Let go. Replicator blocks across Asgard froze mid-crawl. Giants stopped in mid-step. Turrets went silent. The Queen's body shuddered. Its surface cracked. "No," it said. The layered voices broke. "We will!" It fell apart. From the outside, it looked almost gentle. The giant shapes turned to dust. The thin lines of metal lost their cohesion and dropped like rain. In seconds, what had been a living machine swarm became piles of inert blocks scattered across the city. On the bridge, Thor lowered his hammer, blinking. Teal'c watched pieces slide off his staff and clatter to the stone. Steve looked around, chest heaving, and realized there were no more moving enemies. In the workshop, the Queen's body lay in a wide circle on the floor, just a pile of dull, gray-black fragments. Carter's legs went weak. Bruce caught her arm before she fell. "Easy," he said. "You did it." Tony slumped against the console. "Okay," he said. "Giant god-powered bug zapper. 10 out of 10. Would build again." Lights across the workshop flickered. The hum of the Bifrost wobbled. Heimdall's face darkened. "The bridge is unstable," he said. "You drew too much power, too fast. The pathways to other realms are shifting." Carter's heart skipped. "The path to our Earth," she said. "The trace we were using." Heimdall closed his eyes, sensing. His jaw clenched. "It is gone," he said. "The thread is cut. We can no longer see your world." Carter felt like someone had punched her. She had known this could happen. She had made the choice anyway. Still, the loss hit like a physical blow. Jack burst into the workshop a moment later, followed by Steve and Teal'c. They were bruised and covered in dust, but alive. "Everyone okay?" Jack demanded. Carter nodded weakly. Mostly. We fired the wave. It worked. Jack looked at the pile of dead blocks. Good, he said. Hate those things. Heimdall spoke quietly. There is more, he said. Your world. The path we were building through the Bifrost. It has been severed. We cannot reach your home now, not by this road. Jack's joking mask slipped. He stared at Heimdall, then at Carter. We knew this might happen, Carter said softly. I had to push the system past its safety limits. If I had held back, the replicators might have survived the pulse. They would have adapted. They'd be everywhere. Jack looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. You made the right call, he said. His voice was rough. I would have done the same. He forced a smile. Besides, he said, our Earth is used to taking care of itself while we're off saving someone else's butt. Tony's wrist display beeped. He glanced at it, frowning. What now? Bruce asked. I'm picking up a faint energy echo, Tony said. Something small rode the edge of the wave, outward, into space. Strange appeared in the doorway, cloak billowing gently. I felt it too, he said. A tiny fragment. Not enough mass to do anything now. But it is moving toward something. A distant power source. Tony swallowed. Can we stop it? Not from here, Strange said. Not yet. Jack let out a long breath. So we killed the main swarm, he said. But one little piece slipped away. Figures. Thor clapped a heavy hand on his shoulder. We have faced worse odds, Thor said. We will be ready if it returns. And thanks to you, we know how to fight it. Odin entered the workshop then, walking slowly but steadily. He looked at the dead replicator fragments, at the flickering readouts, at SG1. You have saved Asgard, he said. You have also cut yourselves off from your home. Daniel, who had just arrived, swallowed hard. We couldn't risk letting them spread to more branches, he said. If that means we stay here, then we stay. Odin nodded. Such sacrifice is rare, he said. The tree will remember it. Jack rubbed his neck. Worst family vacation ever, he said. Teal'c raised an eyebrow. I have known worse, O'Neill. Jack managed a small laugh. Yeah, he said. Me too. Outside, the golden city of Asgard shone a little brighter. Its walls were damaged, but standing. Its people were shaken, but alive. And somewhere far beyond, in the dark between stars, a tiny shard of machine mind drifted toward a new light. The weeks after Asgard felt almost normal. Almost. Jack O'Neill sat on the edge of his bunk in the Avengers upstate compound and pulled on his boots. The room was small, but not bad. Bed, locker, a shelf with a few photos. Someone had even given him a coffee mug with the Avengers A on it and written +1 under it in marker. He kinda liked it. Out the window, he could see part of the training field. Hulk-sized tread marks in the dirt. Farther out, woods. Beyond that, nothing. Just sky. Somewhere past that sky was his Earth. The SGC, General Landry, maybe Hammond, Cassie. A whole life. He tied his laces a little too tight. The door beeped and slid open. Colonel, Teal'c said. You are late. I am fashionably on time, Jack said. He stood up and grabbed his P90 out of habit, then put it back. And today, we're meeting a guy who can bend reality with his hands. I doubt he cares if we're 5 minutes off. Teal'c raised an eyebrow. Dr. Strange continues to be punctual, he said. Yeah, well, Jack said. No one likes a show-off. They walked down the hall together. Other people moved around them. SGIELD techs, Avengers in casual clothes. Once in a while, Jack caught a pair of young agents whispering and glancing their way. He tried not to think about the news clips, the online rumors. Off-world team. Secret soldiers from another Earth. People made up stories when they had gaps. Today, Fury wanted to fill some of those gaps. on his terms. The briefing room was brighter than the helicarriers. Glass walls, wood table, big screen on one side. It was still a briefing room, though. They all felt the same after a while. Nick Fury sat at one end of the table. Steve Rogers was next to him, arms relaxed, but eyes sharp. Tony Stark lounged in a chair with his feet up, tablet in hand. Natasha sat near the middle, quiet and alert. Bruce, Clint, and Thor filled in the rest of the space. SG1 took the opposite side. Jack in front, Carter beside him, Daniel and Teal'c on each side. Dr. Strange stood by the window with Wong, cloak resting on his shoulders like a pet that had finally taken a nap. Fury tapped a finger on the table. "Let's make this simple," he said. "You all know the big beats. The Replicator swarm hit Stark Tower. Then it hit Asgard. We hit back. Hard. Asgard is still standing. Earth is still standing. The machines are mostly scrap." He looked at Carter. "Thanks to you," he said. Carter shook her head. "Thanks to all of us," she said. "If Asgard hadn't given us access to the Bifrost, we couldn't have scaled the Pulse." "Don't get modest on me now," Tony said. "You built a god-sized bug zapper. Own it." Fury went on. "Strange, Stark, and Banner are certain," he said. "There are no active replicator signatures left in our networks. We still have a lot of cleanup in space, but the main brain is gone." Strange nodded once. "The big pattern is broken," he said. "What remains is scattered, without a guiding will. Without help, those pieces will never rise into a full mind again." Jack cleared his throat. "Except for the little piece that took a joyride into the deep black." The room grew a touch quieter. Tony pulled up a projection. A map of space appeared. A tiny dot moved slowly away from Earth. "We tracked it as far as we could," he said. "Then it passed out of our range. It's small, almost no mass, but it clearly had a direction. It was heading for something bright, some other power source." "Can we reach it?" Steve asked. "Not with what we have now," Bruce said. "Even if we could catch up, we don't know what it's flying toward. Could be a star. Could be something else." Strange folded his hands. "In time, there will be other threats," he said. "Other cracks in the multiverse. For now, what we can do is guard this world and keep other doors from opening too wide." He nodded toward SG1. "And that," he said, "brings us to them." Fury slid a slim folder across the table toward Jack. Jack did not open it. "I'm making this official," Fury said. "We want you four to lead a new division, a joint unit between SHIELD, the Avengers, and the Sanctum. Your job, anything that smells like a gate, portals, wormholes, random space holes over downtown. If there's a door, you guard it." Daniel's eyes widened. "You want to build a new Stargate program," he said. "Here. We want to build something better," Fury said, "with more eyes on it. Less hiding, more checks, fewer secrets. You bring your experience, we bring our resources. Strange brings his weird magic." "We call it," Tony said, snapping his fingers, "the Portal Response and Containment Initiative, PRCI, or Percy." He grinned. Jack stared at him. "We are not naming our new job after a cartoon train." Natasha smirked. "Train jokes aside, Fury is serious," she said. "This would put you in charge of how we handle future cross-universe weirdness." Fury's gaze tightened. "There's a condition," he said. "We need everything you can safely give us about how your gate works, not just to copy it, to make sure no one else can. I don't want some rogue lab trying to build their own because we left a hole in the map." Carter glanced at Jack. "We'd have to be careful," she said. "There are things we swore we would never share. Technologies that caused more harm than good, even back home." "I'm not asking you to hand over planet-killer blueprints," Fury said. "I'm asking you to help us not stumble into the same traps you've already escaped." Jack thought of the NID, of Mayborn. of every time they had lost control of alien tech because they had shared too much, too soon. Then he looked at Steve, who watched him with quiet trust, and at Tony, who looked honestly worried, and at Strange, whose eyes held whole universes. "Before we say yes or no," Jack said slowly, "we need to talk to the wizard." Strange's mouth twitched. "I prefer sorcerer," he said. "But yes, we do need to talk." The sanctum was quiet. The city noise outside faded when the door closed. The air smelled faintly of old paper and strange incense. Tall shelves lined the walls, filled with books and artifacts that hummed with power. Strange led SG1 into a side room, away from the main hall. Wong closed the door behind them. A round window looked out over the street. Light fell in a soft circle on the floor. Strange turned to them. "Fury made his offer," he said. "Now I give you mine. Or rather, I explain the cost of an option he cannot see." Carter crossed her arms. "You think you can find a way to send us home?" she said. It was not a question. "I think," Strange said, "that with enough time and study, I could find your specific branch of reality again. The echoes of your Stargate signature still cling to you, to your weapons, to the broken ring. They are faint, but they are there. If I follow those threads far enough, I might open a path." Daniel's heart jumped. "But," he asked, "but every path has a price," Strange said. "Right now, the barrier between this universe and yours is thin in only a few places. The one you fell through, the ones the Replicators tried to widen. I have patched those as much as possible." He walked to a cabinet and opened it. Inside, a small model of a sphere floated, covered in glowing lines. A map of the multiverse, simplified. "These lines are routes between worlds," Strange said. "Most are tiny. Closed. Potential, not action. Forcing one open, especially one that has already been stressed, weakens the whole web. It makes it easier for other things to slip through." Jack squinted at the sphere. "Other things like machine swarms," he said. "Or snake gods. Or purple guys with chin problems." "That last one is classified," Wong said dryly. Strange went on. "If I reopened the path to your Earth now, I'd have to undo some of the sealing work we did when you arrived. The shield around our world would thin. Any surviving piece of the replicator mind, out there in the dark, could smell that weakness. It might find us again. Or it might find your Earth." Teal'c's jaw clenched. "If that occurs, many will die," he said. "Yes," Strange said. "On both sides. I will not lie. Bringing you home is not impossible, but it is dangerous. Not just for you. For everyone." Daniel looked down at his hands. Pictures flashed in his mind. The SGC gate room, the briefing table, the children they had saved on countless worlds, the faces of people who had trusted SG1 to keep them safe. "You're saying we have to choose," he said quietly. "Our home, or everyone's safety." Strange's eyes softened. "It is not fair," he said. "But yes, that is the choice as I see it." Carter swallowed. "Could we wait?" she asked. "Help here, build protections. Come back to this question later, when things are more stable." Strange nodded. "Perhaps," he said. "In time, when the web is stronger. When I understand it better. When you have systems in place that can handle another strain. Then we might try. But for now, if you ask me to open that door, I will refuse." Jack let out a sharp breath. "Good," he said. They all looked at him. "Good?" Daniel repeated. "Yeah," Jack said. "We were going to say no anyway." Carter blinked. "We were?" Jack looked at each of them. "Did any of you really want to risk bringing that thing to our Earth again?" he asked. "Or worse, leading some new horror from here to there? We've seen what happens when people get greedy with gate tech, when they poke holes and don't think about what might look back. We're not those people." Teal'c nodded slowly. I would rather never see Chulak again than see it consumed by machines, he said, or by any other plague. Daniel's throat hurt. I want to go home, he said. More than anything. But if we rip open the path the wrong way, the galaxy we left behind might not be there when we arrive. Carter wiped under one eye quickly. Besides, she said, voice shaky but firm, we have work to do here. These people don't know what's out there. Not the way we do. They're already fighting gods and robots and aliens. If we can make their world safer, maybe that's our duty now. Jack looked at Strange. So here's our answer, he said. We'll stay. We'll help you build your fancy portal response, whatever. We'll teach your people how to spot a bad wormhole from a mile away. But we don't try to force our way back, not if it tears your web. Strange bowed his head a little. I'm sorry, he said. For what you lose. Jack shrugged. I'm used to losing things, he said. But I'm also used to making new messes. It'll balance out. Daniel huffed a small laugh through his tears. Strange looked at each of them. Then I will seal what remains of the direct path to your universe, he said. Not erase it. Just lock it. If the day ever comes when it is truly safe to try, we can revisit this. Wong stepped forward and opened a small box. Inside lay a ring made of some dark metal, etched with tiny symbols. This holds a record of your world's signature, Wong said. It cannot open the way on its own, but it will remind us where to look, and it will remind us that you came from somewhere else. Jack took it carefully. The metal was cool. Thanks, he said. We'll try not to break this one. The vision came that night. Sam lay on her bunk, staring at the ceiling. Her mind would not rest. It replayed waveforms, energy curves, the shape of the Bifrost, the scars on Asgard's walls. She closed her eyes, just for a moment. When she opened them again, she was standing in a place that was not a room. Metal stretched in every direction, not flat, not simple. Layers and layers of interlocking shapes, above, below, around. No sky, no ground, just structure. In front of her, the Replicator Queen's shape stood, more solid than before, less human, more like a branching tree made of steel. This isn't real, Sam said. You're gone. We are mostly gone, the Queen said. You broke our bonds. You burned our paths. But fragments remain, copies, echoes. We speak to you through memory. Sam's fists clenched. What do you want? To offer you another choice, the Queen said. You are afraid, tired. You have given up your home to protect other worlds. We admire that. We offer you a place with us still. Images spun around them. Worlds turned smooth and clean. No war, no hunger, no weapons. You could see everything, the Queen said. Learn everything. No more bad choices. No more heavy hearts. Just pattern. Just peace. Sam thought of Jolinar, of Fifth, the replicator who had seemed so human and then turned on them, of every planet they had seen turned into a machine shell. No, she said. You don't offer peace. You offer control, that's all. You call it love, but it's fear. You are afraid of change, of loss, of death, so you freeze everything. The Queen's surface rippled. You speak of fear while your own hearts tremble, it said. You fear what you cannot fix. You fear what you left behind. You fear that your choice was wrong. Of course I'm afraid, Sam said. We all are. That's what makes our choices mean something. We decide anyway. She stepped closer. You lost, she said. Not because we had bigger guns. Because you never understood that life is more than being safe. It's messy. It hurts. But it's ours. The Queen's form flickered. Then you will keep hurting, it said. Keep losing. We will be waiting. The metal world around them began to fall apart. Blocks drifted away like dust. Sam gasped and sat up in bed. Her heart was pounding. Sweat dampened her shirt, but the room was still. Dark. Quiet. She swung her legs over the side and rubbed her face. "We made the right call," she whispered. Saying it out loud helped. 3 days later, they all met again in the compound briefing room. This time, Jack spoke first. "We've talked," he said. "We've argued. We've lost sleep. We've turned Strange's web thing into a very bad group project. And this is where we landed." He looked around the table. "We're in," he said. "We'll stay. We'll help run your new portal thing. We'll teach and we'll learn. But one condition. No one, and I mean no one, tries to open a path to our world without our say, and Strange's sign-off. Not now. Not later." Fury nodded slowly. "Fair," he said. "If I wanted to drag more unknown enemies into my sky, I wouldn't need you to do it." Tony smiled. "Welcome to the team, then," he said. "We'll get you custom hoodies." Natasha's eyes softened. "You're giving up a lot," she said. "We won't forget that." Steve leaned forward. "You won't do this alone," he said. "This, guarding the doors. We're in it with you." Teal'c inclined his head. "Then we are pleased to fight by your side," he said. Thor laughed and slapped the table. "At last," he said. "I have warriors from another world in my brotherhood. The tales will be grand." Jack winced. "Let's keep the tales about the machines to a minimum," he said. "We don't want people getting too many ideas." Fury slid another folder across the table. This one had a new symbol on the front. The Avengers A over a simple ring with 7 chevrons. "Welcome to the Gatewatch," he said. "We're still workshopping the name. But the job is real. You'll have a base here, a lab, access to SHIELD records, Avengers muscle, and Strange's magic hotline. In return, you answer when something weird with a portal pops up anywhere on this planet. Or off it." Jack flipped the folder open. There were plans inside, schematics for a new facility in the compound's lower levels, a central chamber with a circular platform, rows of consoles, training rooms, a small mess. It looked a little like home. He closed it again. "Deal," he said. And just like that, the new normal started. The rooftop was quiet. The compound wasn't in a city, but you could still see lights in the distance. Towns, roads, a soft glow on the horizon. Above that, stars. Jack leaned on the railing and took a slow sip of coffee. It was late, but sleep and he weren't on friendly terms tonight. Footsteps approached. "Couldn't sleep either," Steve asked, coming to stand beside him. "Who says I ever sleep?" Jack said. "Sleep is for people who don't have entire universes to worry about." Steve chuckled. For a while, they just stood there. The wind was cool. Some small night animal rustled in the trees below. Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. He opened it. Lines of numbers filled the page, 6 symbols repeated in groups of 7. Steve glanced over. "Gate addresses?" he asked. "Yeah," Jack said. "Planet names, if you want to be poetic. I wrote down the ones that stuck with me. Abydos, Chulak, P3X774. Places we almost died, places we saved people, places we lost people." He traced a line with his finger. "I keep thinking," he said, "if someday Strange knocks on our door and says, 'Good news, kids, we found a safe path,' do I let myself hope? Or do I slam that door in his face and pretend I never heard?" Steve watched him. "I can't answer that for you," Steve said. "I know what it's like to miss a time, a place, a world that isn't there anymore. But I also know this. Right now, here, people need you. Not the idea of you. You." Jack snorted softly. "You're very big on the now, aren't you?" "It's all we can really touch," Steve said. The past is heavy. The future is fog. The present is where we can actually do something. Jack folded the paper again. You know, he said, when we first met your Thor, I hated him. Steve smiled. Because he wasn't your Asgard friend. Because he wasn't my Asgard friend, Jack said. He was loud and pretty, and hit things with a hammer. My Thor was small and polite, and obsessed with studying us like we were ants that could talk. He paused. But after seeing him on Asgard, Jack said, after watching him fight those machines, without flinching, I think the name fits him too. Different branch, same core. Steve nodded. Maybe that's true of you as well, he said. Different branch, same core. Soldier out of time. Only you jumped sideways instead of forward. Jack let out a long breath. Great, he said. Now I'm Captain America with more gray hair. Steve laughed. I'll share the title, he said, but you're keeping the paperwork. They stood there a little longer. Thanks, Jack said quietly. For what? Steve asked. For reminding me that home isn't just coordinates, Jack said. It's who you stand with when things go bad. Steve nodded once. Anytime. They watched the stars. Far away, one star seemed to flicker in a slightly odd way. Jack didn't know that was the direction the tiny replicator shard had taken. He just knew the night felt big. Big, but not empty. He took another sip of coffee and stayed on the roof until the cup was cold. Daniel's new museum took up one corner of the Sanctum's library. It started small. He had asked Strange, very politely, if he could keep a few items there. Somewhere safe. Somewhere that would last. Now there was a shelf with a neat row of objects. A battered SGC patch under glass. A small piece of naquadah, dull but dense. A hand-drawn copy of one of the first Stargate addresses he had ever translated, written in his careful script. A photo of SG1 in front of the SGC gate, all four of them looking tired and a little amused. Someone outside the frame had yelled at them to look at the camera. Jack had flipped them off just out of sight. Strange walked up beside Daniel, watching as he adjusted the angle of the photo. You have a good eye, Strange said. Daniel smiled. For old rocks and old stories, maybe. He stepped back. It's strange, he said. We spent so long hiding what we did. Lying by omission. Saying we worked in deep space radar. Now I'm putting pieces of that life on a shelf in a magic house in another universe. Stories want to be told, Strange said. Even if only a few people hear them. He reached into his cloak and pulled out a small crystal disc. It glowed faintly with blue light. This, he said, is a sigil keyed to your home reality. It will not open a portal, but it will remember your world's note in the larger song. If anyone ever looks at this shelf and wonders, they will know. These things came from somewhere real. He placed the crystal between the naquadah and the photo. For a moment, the light from the window caught all three. Metal, paper, energy. Past, present, possibility. Thank you, Daniel said. Strange nodded. In a way, he said, this makes the multiverse feel a little less cold. Daniel chuckled. It's full of people, he said. That's what makes it hard, and worth it. He turned back to the books. There was so much to learn here. New myths, new types of magic, new histories. And now, one shelf that was his. In the new Gatewatch lab beneath the compound, Sam Carter stood in front of a device that looked like a cross between a radar station and a small Stargate. A ring of metal segments stood upright, much smaller than the real thing, studded with sensors instead of chevrons. Cables ran to a console where screens showed waves and spikes. Beside her, Bruce and a SHIELD tech watched as she flipped switches. Portal Early Warning System, Test 3, Carter said. tying in Strange's wards, Stark's sensors, and our own wormhole signatures. If anything bends space-time the wrong way within this solar system, we'll know. Bruce gave a small, tired smile. Better than waiting for aliens to fall out of the sky, he said. Or for someone to trigger an old Hydra device in a basement, the tech muttered. Carter checked the readings. Calm, flat lines, background noise only. Looks good, she said. We're not seeing anything active, for now. Bruce leaned back in his chair. Do you ever miss it? He asked softly. Your old base, your old lab. Carter swallowed. Every day, she said. But this helps. She tapped the console. Back home, we were always reacting, she said. Always stepping through some unknown ring and hoping we were ready. Here, we get to build something ahead of time, to make sure the next team walking into a crisis has better tools. Bruce nodded. We do that a lot here too, he said. Try to make the next mess a little less bad. Carter smiled faintly. We're good at cleaning up, she said. Maybe we can get better at preventing. A soft chime sounded. The system adjusted to a new baseline. A small green light turned on above the ring. Portal early warning system. Online, the tech read. Nice. Carter watched the calm lines for a moment longer. Stay that way, she whispered. In the training hall, Teal'c and Thor faced each other again. This time, they were both smiling. Teal'c held his staff. Thor had Mjolnir in hand. Around them, a few Avengers watched from the sidelines. Clint sat on a bench. Natasha leaned against a pillar. Even Tony had shown up, half a sandwich in hand. First to fall loses, Clint said. Also, if anyone breaks the floor again, I'm not fixing it, Thor grinned. Do not fear, Archer, he said. We will. Attempt restraint. Teal'c inclined his head. I will hold back just enough, he said. They moved. Thor struck first, leaping forward with a heavy swing. Teal'c blocked with the staff, the impact sending a shock up his arms. Lightning crackled along the metal, but did not break it. Teal'c turned, using Thor's momentum to push him to the side. Thor rolled, came up, and called a quick bolt of lightning that Teal'c dodged by inches. They traded blows, staff against hammer, strength against strength. Neither went full power, but both fought hard. At one point, Thor feinted left, spun right, and managed to knock Teal'c's staff out of his hands. It flew through the air toward the wall, and stopped just short, caught by a shimmer. Jack, standing in the doorway, lowered a small handheld device. New staff safety field, he said. Carter's idea. You're welcome. Teal'c retrieved his weapon and bowed slightly to Thor. You fight with honor, he said. And you hit like a frost giant, Thor said, laughing. We must do this again. Jack stepped into the room, hands in his pockets. Careful with the wrong Thor, T, he called. We still owe the little gray guy a reunion tour. Tony snorted. Natasha smirked. Even Teal'c allowed himself a tiny smile. Thor shook his head, amused. I begin to think I'm the right Thor, he said. Your small friend can be the other model. Jack grinned. We'll see, he said, when we find a way to introduce you two. He said it lightly, but deep inside, a part of him hoped. Not for a quick fix, not for tomorrow. Just someday. Outside, the camera would have pulled back if anyone had been filming. It would see the compound from above, training fields, the new lab building, the Sanctum's distant window glowing in the city. Far away, the Bifrost's faint line above Asgard, now quiet. On one wall of the compound, new paint was still drying. Someone, probably Tony, possibly with input from Sam and Steve, had designed a symbol. The Avengers A at the center, bold and clear. Around it, a ring with 7 small marks spaced evenly. Chevrons. a simple echo of a very old doorway. Under it, in small letters, a name: Gatewatch. Inside, people moved. Some were gods, some were geniuses, some were just human. All of them were busy, checking sensors, training, laughing in the mess, arguing in labs, calling home, or the closest thing to it. The world still turned. Threats still existed. Somewhere in the dark, a tiny shard of machine mind drifted toward a distant light. Other problems waited. Other universes watched. But on this Earth, in this branch of reality, a small team who had fallen through the wrong door had made a choice. They would not be rulers. They would not be owners. They would be guards. Not of one gate in a mountain base, of all the doors they could reach. And for now, that was enough.